So welcome to the DK Q&A. This is number 7, and we're going to go over 2 related questions this time.
Right. All right, so the first question will be from Donald. He asked, how often do you have to empty the catch can that comes with our external breather system? And then our second question comes from Bo. He asked, is there anything out there that would keep my bike from spitting so much oil? After a day's ride, my oil is about a quarter below the fill line.
Okay.
So how often do you empty the catch can?
I empty my catch can every oil change, sometimes every other oil change. I think we recommend in the instructions to look at it every oil change, but of course some bikes spit more.
Right.
And so a person will know if your catch can starts spitting out a lot of oil out of the breather holes in the lid of the catch can and the cap of the catch can, then it needs to be changed. But I would recommend inspecting it and dumping it out, at every oil change, unless you have a real spitter.
Right.
Which we're going to get to with Bo here in a second. Unless you have a real spitter, you shouldn't have to do it, but every oil change. And sometimes if I'm on a trip, if I'm on a 10 or 15,000 mile trip, I'll do it every other oil change because it doesn't spit so much that it requires it.
Right. And one thing a lot of people overlook is that if you don't allow your bike to get up to operating temperature, if you just go out and you're out in the shop piddling around, fire the bike up, rev it a couple times, turn it off, the bike's not hot enough to vaporize that oil. So the liquid accumulates even faster.
Right. Yeah, lots of short rides where the bike doesn't get warmed up. You're going to have a lot more accumulation in the catch can than you would, and it'll be milkier. Sometimes you see, I think in the video we've done, you can put the pictures in, one picture where it shows it's really milky looking, and another picture where it looks more like oil.
Yeah.
The one where it's really milky looking, that's either ridden a lot in cold weather where it just never got hot enough to vaporize the water out of it, or it's a lot of short rides.
Yeah.
Whereas the one where it's in the bucket and it looks almost just like pure oil like you would put in there, that's actually a catch can from a guy in Colorado where a short run for him is 70 or 80 miles.
Yeah.
So it just depends. Now, what was the other question from Bo?
All right, so is there anything out there that would keep my bike from spitting so much oil? He says that after a day's ride, his oil level is about a quarter below the fill line.
So the confusing thing that Harley does is they have a bottom line, a middle line, and a top line. Common sense says the bottom line is you got to add oil, the middle line is the midway mark, and the top line is the full line. But if you read the manual, nowhere does it say that the top line is full.
Right.
And so they say that you should only add enough oil to get it to the midway mark. And that is when it's cold. That is when it's cold. Who checks their oil when it's hot? A lot of people check their oil when it's warm, but who checks the oil when it's hot? Because when it's hot, it's so hot that it's hard to, hold on to that thing. But if you do check your oil when it's hot, put it at the midway line when it's cold, and then get it hot, fully heat soaked, and pull it out, and you're going to see it's going to be no more than halfway between the middle line and the top line. So there's no instance where filling it to the top line is appropriate. You're just going to get excessive blow-by. So back to Bo's question is, what can he do to keep it? Number one, get that oil at the middle. And even if it's below the middle, you're fine. Now, one thing that people mention, well, the more oil I have in there, the more volume there is to absorb heat and help it run cooler. And there is definitely some validity to that. Is you want to have as much oil in there as you can so that the heat is spread out over more oil. And I understand that completely. But the fact of the matter is, you're going to get just as good a lubrication if it's just a hair above that bottom line as you are if it's at the full line.
Correct.
But you're going to get better heat dissipation to some theoretical degree if you have it at the middle line. I try and keep mine at the middle line. And so that's one thing. The other thing to keep it from spitting, obviously check your umbrella valves. And we have a whole list of other things. both in the video that's linked below and in the article that we've written on the subject that is linked below. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up.
Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell.
And share it with your friends, because this is a question that a lot of people have and a lot of people struggle with. So we hope you enjoyed the video. We see you next time. Ride safe.